And it's a great song, and it fills me with all the nostalgic feel goods. But fucking Wily Stage 2, followed closely by that Undertale song, which is so fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song rocks, and I'm not even a huge Undertale guy.
Part 3. You know who else isn't a huge Undertale guy?
Who's that?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Pixelit. My name is Kevin. With me, as always, is Phil. And today we're finishing Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father. Maybe. I don't know. We might talk about it.
I have to believe, actually, that Gabriel Knight probably wouldn't be much of an Undertale guy. He'd probably be one of those bro-dozers who's like, oh, you got feelings in your games? Fuck that. Like,
yeah. He buys like Madden and FIFA and then like whatever the Call of Duty that comes out that year.
Right.
So that's Gabriel Knight in a nutshell.
That's who you people are defending. I don't know why I assumed everyone's defending him. They might.
All right, I mean, we'll see. These episodes aren't even out yet, so it's going to be a couple weeks before these episodes. Even like the first episode isn't even out as when we're recording this. So it'll be. We'll see if people start defending the Gabriel Knightiverse.
We might be burning some serious bridges, and we just don't even know yet.
We don't even know yet. So Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father, it's part 3, Body in the Marsh, who cares? I texted
Are you guys
Phil,
invested? Are you as invested as Kevin is?
I texted Phil beforehand if he could bring table topics in case I wanted to stop talking about this book. I didn't write notes, so I'm fucking winging it tonight. It's just doing it live.
Because our 99th episode.
This is our 99th episode, and it is probably the least professional I'm going to be in an episode. Can't be asked to give a fuck about the last part of Gabriel Knight because this is drivel at this point.
It's so boring.
It's so boring and bad. Boring and bad. It's both boring and bad and racist.
Yeah. Like, look, we've had boring books on this show. We've had bad books on this show. Have we had racist books on this show?
No, because we decided not to read the Doom adaptation.
That's right. Is this officially the first time we've said on the air that we've?
I think it's the first time I might have mentioned it before, but yeah.
I think we've mentioned it on social, but I don't think anyone. So any of you, we've had people ask if we're going to read the Doom books, and the answer is no, probably not.
The authors were these right-wing crank libertarian types. Yeah. I read the first couple pages, and it's like about a war in the Middle East, and I was like, this cannot go well at all. So we're just going to pass on this one.
No, like we came. I think we probably came the closest with like discussion of the infidel thing in the last Halo book we read.
Yeah, and that's some like drive-by racism.
Yeah, that wasn't even like us thinking he did
overall
it on
good
purpose.
book. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so
that's just like bad judgment. More.
Yeah. It's a weird cultural time, if you will.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst of it. So we've done this show for nearly 2 years at this point, and this is the first time we've run into anything overtly racist. And most of the books we're reading are older than like 20 years. So honestly,
right,
not bad, not a bad track record.
Right, not at all.
When I tell you to dump a body in the marsh, you dump him in the marsh.
So, chapter 7. So, if you remember, Gabriel knocked himself out. He ran into a tree, like Wile E. Coyote style, at the end of chapter 6.
Our hero,
ladies and gentlemen. Grace finds him at the beginning of chapter 7, and he wakes up in his own bed. And Grace gives him a whole rigmarole about how she followed him and how he's stupid and was doing things the hard way. She's like,
Grace,
you could have just done X, Y, and Z. And he's like, okay.
Grace, when are you going to move on?
When are you going to move on, Grace? Gracie Grace. a bunch of things happen in chapter 7. He calls Wolfgang. He's like, he decides he's going to go to Germany, to Deutschland. He calls the son schizophrenic, which...
Yeah. Not great.
Not great.
Not great.
Yeah. And then he does some more stuff. There's he visits the Getty tomb, you know, he does that again. He finds Mosley inside the tomb and he thinks Mosley is dead.
Yeah, what the fuck was this all about? Yeah, we find him. He's dead. I'm sorry. The way they're writing it, he finds him in the tomb. Dude's dead. Like, that's all there's to it. It's pretty sad.
And then he's dead, and then Gabriel gets knocked out when he turns around, and he is like bleeding from the head.
Yeah.
None of this matters.
I don't know if we're gonna get to a half hour with this episode.
So,
oh god,
he goes to Germany because the Ritter estate, Rittersberg, which is his family's estate. It's a castle.
Yep.
Because, you know, he's part of the bourgeois that is trying to oppress the German proletariat under the...
We just got done watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, guys.
Yeah, that will have been out before this, but we're recording this after that. There's a lot of...
I know we just had cartoons of us made. Can we have cartoons of us made as Iggy and Spike?
Oh, that would be great. Dressed in the Iggy and Spike costumes.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Let's see. He meets Gerda. Is it Gerda? Gerda, who is the caretaker of the castle. And okay, so he does a bunch of shit at the castle.
Yes.
He can't get into the library because there's a point-and-click adventure puzzle preventing him from getting into the library. So he has to go to the cathedral, and he hallucinates a dragon, or is there a dragon actually there? I don't know.
No, he even says later that he's not sure. Like, it's not clear for anybody involved.
Not clear. Don't know. At this point, as you're well aware, I've stopped caring.
Yes.
He wakes up. Okay. He wakes up and he has the thing that he needs to get into the library. And the whole point of going to Germany was to talk to Wolfgang, but Wolfgang has already left to go to Africa. And, you know, when Germans go to Africa,
it doesn't generally work out well.
You know? And he shouldn't be going down there. So he needs to figure out where he's gone. He gets into the library, starts reading all about the bullshit that Wolfgang has been doing, how to be a Schotten, a Jägermeister.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, Jägermeister. You got it.
He's Schottenjäger, Jägermeister.
Jägermeister. It's all the same.
It's all the same. This whole sequence takes 20 pages or so of him just in Deutschland.
Yeah.
And it's it doesn't feel authentic at all. There's no description of the fact that and the fact that it only takes him exactly 15 hours to go from New Orleans to where he is in Germany. It's 15 hours later, he was in the place. And I'm it was just that easy, huh? There's an airport not far from where you needed to go. You didn't need to take a train. You're just there.
There's for the insane level of unnecessary detail that goes into this 400-page book. Suddenly, in the third act, when we're actually jet setting, which could be exciting Indiana Jones style Red Arrow crossing the globe shit. Suddenly we don't have a lot to say when it comes to... Because I guess our author didn't take a 3-day vacation in Germany.
In Bavaria. Dateline, Germany. The Führer's troops are on the march.
Yeah, exactly. Normally, when Germans make their way into Africa, we have to send a Patton. But yeah, that's for a different podcast.
It's Ritter, not Rommel.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
But I hope you guys aren't getting too comfortable in Germany, though. That beautifully described Germany, because we end up going to Africa almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah, we're going to fucking Africa. We're in chapter 8 now. That's when the dragon thing happens.
Yeah.
And he's like imagining that he's talking to his grandfather, and he talks about how he's like, "I love you, granddad," and be like, "You never knew him. Like, don't stop it."
Stop it.
You know, I mean, sure. So he figures out what part of Africa they're supposed to be in, and he goes there. He goes to Africa. And then there's an entire like point and click. So he's in the People's Republic of Benin, which that's not a real place, is it?
It is. It is a real place.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
So I'll give.
It is. Well, that's what's funny though. It's like for like the lack of description that they give Germany, she picks the most obscure Western African country. It's a tiny
it's
country.
It's a real narrow guy right in there.
It's a tiny little country, so it's such a random choice. But here's the thing: I did a little research on Benin just because I was curious and I have ADHD.
Oh, okay. What did you learn about Benin?
I learned that Benin, like many countries in Africa, has, we think of in America, like if you know someone who's bilingual, it blows our mind, right. And if it's not Spanish, holy shit, we've got an Einstein over here. But in countries in Africa, there are dozens of languages spoken because it's all laid out in old tribes and nationalities and cultures that we've never even heard of. Like that there's just so many of them. And so when you look at the Wikipedia article of Benin and you look at the language breakdown, like the highest percentage of language there is like 30 something percent. It's not even like 80% of the people speak this. It's like 36. I don't even remember what language it is. But all of this is to say that with that many cultures and languages in the same tiny country, there's no excuse for somewhere in this book to refer to people speaking African.
I like how you built up to that.
African. I don't remember exactly where in the book it was, but they literally, and I double checked, he was like, they're not doing this as a joke. He literally had someone go, well, he doesn't speak African. So it's like, oh my God.
No such thing, buddy. Not a language.
Not a language. No notes. 10 out of 10. Fine holiday fun for you and your family. Read Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father.
Oh God.
Jesus.
I don't speak Native American. Like, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's basically exactly the same kind of idea. Yeah, because it's all of these rich cultures, hundreds of them with all kinds of various regional dialects and languages, and we all just go, yeah, they're Indians. It's just like, it's the same basic idea. It's crazy.
Okay, so Benin, if you're wondering where it is located, it is to the west of Nigeria. And Nigeria is basically, it's one of the biggest countries in Africa, both culturally and population wise. It's a country of 230 million people. It's like the size of it. It's bigger than Japan in terms of population.
Yeah. It's huge.
And I think I don't know enough to say authoritatively, but I think Nigeria is one of the countries that kind of exports the most like culture. It's going for a cultural victory in Civ.
It absolutely is. Yes. Yes.
As
That's a great way of putting it.
one of the big movers and shakers to look at in Africa over the next couple decades. But yeah, so Benin is located in between Nigeria. Nigeria is to its east, Togo is to its west, and then you have along that coast Ghana, Ivory Coast, Liberia, and so on and so forth. So there you go, Benin.
Yeah, full credit for actually putting in
a real African country.
A real African country, and not, one that people are going to immediately recognize. Like both of us, I also assumed that this was not a real place. I'm not going to act like, of course I knew about the Republic of Benin. No, I did not know that. So full credit for that. But
yeah.
Minus several thousand for speaking African.
Minus several thousand. There's more several thousand minus points coming up.
Oh, we are in the red, my friend.
We are in the red. This book is in the red. So most of the Africa segment in Benin is real point and click ass puzzle solving.
It gets so much worse. It gets so much worse. Like this whole section, this last third, there are so many. We've already commented on it. There's nothing more to say except for the fact that as this book was being written, it just got worse to the point where it's just, if you in an adventure game walk into a room and you see a book that you can pick up, you go, I'm going to keep that book, right? Like that's how adventure games work. In regular life or books, that is not how anyone actually works. You don't just collect things, because you'd be weighed down.
I mean, that's the thing is we really play fast and loose with encumbrance in RPGs.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Encumbrance is like two things. Let's be honest.
Yeah. That's it. And this game treats it. We're going to get to it. I don't want to jump ahead, but there is one part in this section of the book that is particularly egregious with like I'm just going to pick up a bunch of shit and that's normal. But we'll get to it. I'm not going to jump ahead because I don't want to spoil the rest of the book.
Yeah. I mean, stab me if we pass it because I'm going to be moving at a pretty brisk pace.
I will. I promise.
So he ends up like there's snakes on doors and he's identifying the snakes on the doors. And he's like, at one point, Gabriel's going like, I go to room 3 and then back to room 5 and then to room 4. Be like,
yes.
Guys, come on.
Consolidate, for Christ's sake.
Consolidate this a little bit,
please.
Or provide some actual interesting names. It's like there's a ballroom, there's a antechamber, whatever.
Something. Yes,
something.
Absolutely.
There's small mounds. There's large mounds. There's people are looking at him. He does see his uncle. He gets he runs into his uncle. And they just continue adventuring on. There's some real Indiana Jones. It's like, you know what? It's not Indiana Jones. It's like the Young Adventures of Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
it's like Indiana Jones on a TV budget.
It's Indiana Jones Jr. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's like Indiana Jones TV budget.
Yeah. I'd forgotten all about that. They totally made that show. Absolutely.
They totally made that show. And the wraparound of that show is Indy as like however old Harrison Ford is now.
Right.
Telling the story.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Jesus.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. There would be two different types of adventures. There would be one where he was like, I want to say 12 or 10 or something, and one where he was like 18.
Right. Yeah.
It was something like that.
Shit gets a little more real.
Shit gets a little bit more real. Yeah. They continued doing their Indiana Jones Jr., Young Indiana Jones adventures. until they get to a. He refers to it as like it's like an Aztec sacrificial table or something like that, and he's like, no, it's not Aztec.
Yeah,
it's its own culture.
It's its own thing. Yeah,
it's its own thing.
They were the only culture that ever did human sacrifice. Kevin, didn't you know?
Didn't I know?
Didn't you know?
Yeah. So, Uncle, they realize that the only way to get the talisman out of the thing that they're trying to get it out of is to do a human sacrifice. So the uncle sacrifices himself and stabs him in the heart and cuts his own heart out, and the blood comes out. And it's like, that's kind of metal.
It was, yeah, especially because he just lies to him because they fought off these golems, you know. The golems. And he tells him, he's like, don't worry, they have a heart, and if we sacrifice one of their hearts, it'll be fine. Just go over there and cut out one of their stone hearts. And Gabriel's like, yeah, that sounds great. And he goes over and he goes, I don't know if this is going to work, Grandpa, or whatever, and turns around and he's already just like,
yeah,
just totally just put all of his eggs in this slutty New Orleans basket. And
his slutty New Orleans nephew, you know, you gotta really examine your life choices. I don't know
if you're back in that pony and you're like, fuck it, then let's face facts. You wanted to kill yourself anyway. Like,
you were okay with the concept of killing yourself if that's where you're at now.
Yes, exactly.
By the way, golems also not African.
No, distinctly on, and if you just call them something else, that would be one thing. And I understand, like, that one, it's like, you know, we're all finding out new cultural things that D&D didn't fully explain to us, and that's fine.
Sure.
But I don't know. Here's the thing. There are certain, like, headphones keep slipping down.
It's like a golem. Could you say that a golem is cross-cultural enough to, like, just use it as shorthand? I don't know. I don't think you can. I don't think you should.
Well, that's just it. That's just it. Just because you could. It's not. I'm working on a project right now that we're designing. I was designing something along those lines, and I asked the creative director and said, you know, should I call this a golem? And they went, no, we can be more creative than that, and it has nothing to do with, you know, the culture that spawned that. So let's not touch that. And they're like, oh, of course, you're absolutely right. And but that wasn't, and that's the thing. In the early to mid 90s, that was not how people thought about things naturally. It just wasn't.
Right.
So there are a lot of moments where I want to give the author grace here. I really do. But it stacks up so quickly. And because, and I think there is a lot of shit in this book that I could forgive, culturally speaking, if it weren't for the fact that culture is part of the book. The whole idea of the book is it's meant to explore cultures and religions and countries and stuff. So it's like, so do some goddamn research. So like, if that's what you're trying to do, then do it. Like, don't half-ass it and piss people off.
Yeah, you could have possibly found something that would have been related to an African culture that occupied that region. That it was maybe something along the lines of a golem. Similar concept.
Absolutely.
But golem, for those of you who, golem for those of you who don't know, is a creature from Jewish mythology, where it is basically it is a creation out of clay, and then I believe you put a message in its mouth, and that's its goal or something like that.
It's like, something like that. I can't. That's just it. It's like I can't even pretend to know exactly what it is. And for the record, the project I was working on, when I stopped being lazy and thinking in terms of, it's a this golem or a that golem, and started trying to come up with a more original take on it, it came out way better.
Sure.
It's
yeah.
way better than if I had just been like, it's a this golem. Like, that's boring as shit. But the thing I came up with was way, way better in the long run. And so, you know, it's just a lesson for writers anyway. So
there is a Jacob Geller video called "The Golem and the Jewish Superhero."
Oh, I watched that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be worth checking out.
Man, he's awesome. His videos rule.
Yeah, he rules. I'm just happy I got to talk to him over on Bullet Time. That was a lovely
Jacob
conversation.
Geller, do you want to be on Pixelit? Do you want to hang out with us on Pixelit?
I asked him and he said no.
I know. I know. I blame myself. I'm sure it has something to do with me.
He's like I'm not really doing. I'm trying not to do too many new things this year. He said.
Which, you know what? Fair enough.
Fair enough. I believe. Yeah. I totally. I get it.
Kevin, if it was your solo project, that'd be fine. But that asshole you've got on that show,
that guy Phil.
I've got a reputation to uphold.
Reputations. So anyway, Uncle's dead.
Yes, he sure is.
Chapter 10. We're going back. We're going back to New Orleans. And he gets back to St. George's bookshop and he's like, hey, but Grace isn't there. Grace has gone missing and it looks like there's a struggle. But there's Mosley. Mosley's alive. What's going on? I don't even get what the point was of him seeming dead in the first place.
Yeah.
But he's alive.
Well, it's not like we had learned so much about him that he was this beloved character and it like broke our hearts that he was dead.
We'll learn more about him later when the author decides to exquisitely describe how overweight and flabby.
Yeah.
It was like I was reading that part and it's like, this is just fat phobic at this point. This is just body shaming.
If you're fat, you're fat. But like 350 pages into this book, we get our actual first like full physical description of him, and it's not enough that he's fat. It's like he's got a sunken chest and like he
has rolls on rolls, and his toenails are too long, and he's got hairy feet, hairy troll feet.
Yes. A series of skin tags that form a crown around his head. I don't know. It's just it's that kind of like level of gross. It's guys, Jesus, like
riddled with phlebitis.
Right.
A good Republican body.
He does, you know, it does give you a very Dune vibes, doesn't it? Just pockmarked and just terrible. Poor guy. Poor Mosley. And and we find out that he was faking it because he was like snooping around in the cemetery and he heard someone coming. So he pretended to be dead. And then when the person, Gabriel, who was in there, turned his back, he smacked him on the back of the head with a brick or some goddamn thing. So it's the stupidest explanation for what happened to Gabriel in that scene we could have possibly had.
So dumb.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of dumb shit that's coming up too.
Yeah, they really bottom loaded the dumb shit.
So it really just stacked it in right at the bottom, right at the end of this book. So he goes to they have a conversation. They're like, no, Titolo is the goal, not the cartel. Because they're talking about getting the FBI involved. Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. They go to, Gabriel goes to the church and starts thinking maybe it has something to do with the church. Maybe the Hanfor is like located in the church somehow. He's like, but it's holy ground. So he's like looking around and he goes inside one of the confessionals. He's like, this could be interesting. And it's like, he sees some wood in the confessional and it's cherry. And he says it has a knot in it. And he goes, but everyone knows cherry wood doesn't have knots.
Oh, do they? I'm sorry for like, we talked about this with King's Quest, like where it's like, if you're going to no, if you're going to do like pick things up and like learn things first and then use them later. And this book overdid that to a point where it's absurd. And then we just get thrown. Everyone knows cherrywood doesn't have knots. Yes, it does. Yes. I used to sell flooring. It absolutely has knots in it. What are you talking about? Like, what kind of like, oh, yeah, obvious rule of thumb, fucking cherrywood doesn't have knots. What? Like, it's just, I don't know. And I texted Kevin earlier today. I don't know why. That was where I snapped. That was like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm the camel. It was just too much.
It's like, okay, so here's the thing about the book. One thing was researched particularly well.
Yes.
And that was the history of voodoo and the history of voodoo in the United States and Africa.
Yeah. Not bad.
I mean, it's seemingly pretty, it's you know, it's cursory, like top level stuff, but that stuff was researched. Read some books, not half bad. Nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing else. Everything else was like, I spent a whole 3 days in New Orleans. I didn't have time to clarify my cherrywood thing. Like,
like if it was just a simple something like he felt along and he felt a weird depression.
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
Fine.
That's been used a million times. You could have used that, but just to be like, cherrywood does not have any knots.
Right.
And I'm like, I Googled cherrywood and I'm like, that's fucking knots.
Knots all over the place. What are you talking? Yeah. It's like, it's kind of like, and again, if you had been in a scene 3 or 4 chapters before where you're chatting with somebody and he kind of casually says, well, you know, cherrywood from New Orleans is well known for not having knots or some goddamn thing or something like that. And then we bring it up. It still would have been incorrect, but it would have been decent writing.
Sure.
You know, but just like this, like, but everybody knows that cherrywood doesn't have knots. Yeah.
Says I, the cherrywood salesman.
Right.
Cherrywood is the finest of the woods. Why do you think George Washington was trying to chop down that cherry tree? I tell you why. It is knotless.
Knotless wood. That's why they called him Old Knotless George.
Old Knotless George. And he was a president. He was he was the presidentiest of presidents.
I love watching you run out of steam. It's one of my favorite things. And he was president.
He was president.
Chapter 9. Like,
it's like I'm gonna let my brain take this. I'm just gonna let it go and see where it goes. And
you
my
work
brain's
so
like,
hard, Kevin. You work so hard. Give yourself a break from time to time.
Give myself a break from time to time. So he fucking finds a thing to press in the knot in the cherrywood, and there's a secret passage, and he goes down into the secret passage, and he's in, I guess, a fucking spaceship.
What the fuck? Yeah, like suddenly it's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Everything's. I'll give it to her. She describes it very well. It's like everything's metallic and white and shiny and glossy. It's okay.
Yeah. He does a whole bunch of like sneaking around and like point and click adventure puzzle solving.
We're back to that.
Like, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to the drum in the room, and I'm gonna beat out something that says Dr. John, come to the thing. So I could go to where Dr. John is and steal his badge while he's not looking. And then I'm gonna go around and I'm looking for Grace, and I'm really sneaking around, and I swiped a badge and I found Grace. And holy shit, Mosley's here too. Just like, you know, coming in like a CIA spook. Right. Mosley just appears again. It's like, what the fuck? For a guy who is basically seems like the author would have you believe is asthmatic and on death's door and just, unable to do anything. Mosley sure does sneak around a lot.
He just stumbles the fuck into the most it's got to be one of the most top secret places in the world at this point.
He's like, where are we? Gabriel's like, where are we? And I was like, and Mosley's like, I know. We're under Jackson Square. And I'm like, I think everybody knew that. You were
Everyone
just
knows
in,
that, bud.
You were just in Jackson Square at the cathedral there, and you went under it. So let's assume that you're there.
And this is, by the way, when we start to get to see Mosley as the character that the author really wants him to be, where he's like the Barney Fife bumbling idiot kind of style character. And we get little, I don't know, looking back, I suppose there were hints like him going, but it's so weird. He actually says some genuinely funny shit in these scenes, and it's ridiculously wasted at this point.
Ridiculously wasted. Oh, I forgot to mention that he sees Malia having a conversation with Titolo. And she's like, what if, can we not kill him? Well, it's like, we'll go through with all the plan that you want. Just don't kill Gabriel. And and Titolo's like, no, he must pay.
For reasons.
Reasons. So yeah, they were like, they were trying to figure out what they're gonna do with Grace when they hear Dr. John on his way in. So they hide in the bathroom in Grace's room. And Dr. John and some other dude pick up Grace and take her out into the Han 4 thing. And they are there, and Mosley and Gabriel sneak in to be part of the crowd in the center of the chamber, and they've changed Grace into, it seems it's described as a see-through white robe.
Yeah.
You could see her bare skin underneath.
Yeah, because the book needed to be hornier.
The book needed to be just a touch hornier.
Hornier.
So our hot Japanese American New York character, she's gonna get semi-naked.
Real quick. This is where I was talking about right before this was where I was talking about the inexplicable ability to pick
inexplicable
up
list of
everything.
items. Yes.
Yeah. It's all money. He finds stacks upon stacks upon stacks of $100 bills, and he took 5 or 6 of those and just just giant, the way they're described, big thick stacks, 5 or 6 of them, and then just casually throws in, and then just a smaller 3-inch stack of hundreds just for good. It's like, where is he putting this? Money weighs stuff. It does in fact take up room. Where's, and it's never spoken of again. It's never spoken of again.
It's not even ever brought up. It's not we can save the bookstore now or something like that.
I thought maybe in the epilogue something. No, it's just nope. He just takes some money. Which look, we all do that. But
he takes it. He has it in his inventory, and we're never going to see it again.
Never again.
So
he spends it all on hookers and blow. That is a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact. It doesn't even pay Grace.
No. Yeah, he still hasn't paid her. She really likes him for some reason. I don't get it. So Malia comes out, but it's actually not Malia. It's Titolo. And basically, because Grace was not asleep, she was just pretending to be asleep. She's able to duck out of the way when the knife comes down and hit the thing. And that's when everything springs into action. Yeah. Dr. John slaps her across the room. He does. He sends her flying.
And then it's like Gabriel hears some pops, and he turns around and he sees Mosley pointing his gun at Dr. John. And he's like, why are you just pointing your gun at it? It's because Mosley already killed Dr. John. Dr. John Like Mosley just drew and fired as soon as he hit Grace.
He really is a good cop. You gotta give it to him. He really
is. He a good cop?
Solid cop. He's good at being a cop. Let me put it that way.
So Mosley kills Dr. John, and he is. Then they. Oh God damn it! There's this. Okay. So earlier in the book, they set up that there's a photo of Mosley playing keep away with his younger sister as a kid. That comes back into play right now where Gabriel plays keep away with the talisman with Mosley. And it's like, it's just Mosley remembers the time with his sister. It's like, you don't need to set up keep away. No. You don't need to.
Do you know what you do need to set up? Cherrywood not having knots. Like that's, you got it mixed up. Everyone knows what keep away is.
Everyone knows what keep away is. Everyone knows. Like that did not need to be set up so intricately.
Oh, yeah.
When I read that, I was like, oh no.
Remember in chapter 3 when
Chekhov's keep away. If you place a keep away on the shelf in Act 1, you must keep it away by Act 3.
Keep it away in Act 3. Oh, I hate this book.
We're not reading the other ones, right? We're skipping those.
No. We're skipping those. Unless people really come clamoring for it, I have no intention.
Unless they come clamoring, knocking down the doors for it, I have no intention of reading it. So anyway, Dr. John dies. They're playing some keep away, and there's like a chamber that opens in the center of the floor. And then, we basically get the Last Crusade ending. Yeah. That's basically the ending of the story is like there's an opening in the floor and he's trying to save Malia and Titolo, and Malia finally forces Titolo out of her body and Gabriel's holding on to her and he's like, Elsa, just give me your hand. And Elsa's like, I can reach Indy. I can reach the cup. And he's like, I can't hold on to you, Elsa. And then she falls, and then Gabriel falls in and tries to reach the Holy Grail. And Sean Connery comes in,
right,
and says, "Let it go, Sean. Let it go." And he lets it go, and he grabs Sean Connery's hand, and he's pulled up. And I did not describe the ending of Sins of the Fathers. I just decided to describe Last Crusade because it's better. Fun. Yeah, it's more fun.
It's way better.
And then there's the knowing knight, the knight, tying it all together. Gabriel Knight. Hey, who nods to them. Yeah. No, seriously though, Malia decides to let go and fall into the fiery depths below and die and end her bloodline so that Titolo can't come back.
Yeah. She actually says, I don't think we're gonna want a new lady for you to flirt with in the second game, so I have to die.
I have to die now. Yeah. So Gabriel's really sad about that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
He loved her. He loved her because,
which is and it makes sense. It makes sense that Gabriel and her, because they were in love.
They were in love.
They were in love.
Because they were.
Because reasons.
Because reasons. Were we going to establish those reasons in the first 300 pages of the book? No.
You're just going to have to take our word for it.
Going to have to take our word for it. They saw each other in a limo one night. and it was hot, and he did "Hello, Nurse."
Yeah,
and that's really what won her over.
And that's love, and that's what love is.
That's love.
When Kevin and I first met our wives, and we shouted "Hello, Nurse," and put a ring on it. That's just how this works.
That is the mating call of your typical North American male.
I actually may have said that to my wife on our first or second date, if I'm being completely honest. Now that I think of it.
Yeah. So we get a nice little wrap up in the epilogue.
Where Grace is just like, I love working for you. I'm going to drop out of grad school to work for you. That's what she says, Kevin.
Yeah. And she's like, are you going to do it? Are you going to be a Schottenjäger? Schottenjäger. And he's like, I could do a Schottenjäger. And,
off of your
and then we freeze frame. And then and it says Tim Curry as Gabriel Knight.
I want to break free. And the credits start rolling. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if that's how it ended? That would be really cool.
Oh, what? No, hold on.
I would have retroactively given this book a 10 out of 10.
No. It's clearly going to be freeze frame and Careless Whisper starts playing.
Yeah. Oh god.
Just Careless, and my just like myself, my camera lost focus.
Yeah. The camera loses focus every time one of us does.
That's the end of the book.
The end.
And then the epilogue seamlessly, like you would. What I love is they sat until dawn, not saying anything more, just watching the firemen in the rain put the fire out. Don't miss the next thrilling Gabriel Knight novel.
Yeah. They jumped right into it. Gabriel Knight will return. And
Gabriel Knight will return. The beast within. Gabriel, as the new Schottenjäger, is asked to investigate a series of mutilation murders in Munich, Germany. The horrifying deaths are thought to be the work of werewolves, and as the hunters become the hunted, the only hope for deliverance lies in a desperate scheme.
And immediately I thought to myself, how do you suppose they are offensive to another culture if this one takes place in Germany? And I went, oh, it's werewolves, Romani. Easy.
Oh, yes, they're going to... I wouldn't be surprised if there's some real Romani, stuff in there. Fuck it.
We'll do it live.
Phil, what did you think of Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers?
I loved it. Wouldn't change anything. It was my favorite.
10 out of 10, 5 stars.
10 out of 10. Yeah. I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it again while I'm getting a blowjob. No, I'm going to burn it in my backyard. I cannot yet say if I think this is the worst book we've read.
That leaves no room for anything else.
Right. I cannot yet say if that's the case, but it is in our bottom 3 at least. Like that was just it's there are parts
easily.
Where it's and the thing is, once again, I'm trying to be generous here, and there are lots of moments in this book where I'm like, okay, she's not a terrible writer, like she is. There are lots of reasons to believe that she is a decent enough writer here. It's just that she kept so close to the game design narrative, which was not necessary or good for what we were doing. Yeah, it makes for a perfectly serviceable game, but not a great read. And then, of course, there's all the cultural shit. Even without the cultural shit, this would be a hard pass.
This would be pretty rough, even without the racism. In it,
it's just
and
long-winded,
the misappropriation and all that stuff, the cultural appropriation. Yes, it's very long-winded. It's 400 pages.
This is the longest book we've ever read in this show. That is a fact.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That's wild.
If we had, I don't know for certain, but I feel like it has
I thought
to be.
BioShock Rapture might have been longer, but
yeah, maybe. It's just that was a good book, and so it didn't drag on quite as much. Yeah, this one, I had 30 pages to finish last night, and I fell asleep before I could finish it.
The second time that you have fallen asleep. Okay, so BioShock Rapture, I think, is longest at 432 pages.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, this is just at 400. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the thing, though. That's what happens when it's a book that it drags. This could have been a 300, nay, 250 page book. Easily.
Keep it tight. Yeah, easily.
Keep it way tight. And would it have been? Would I have enjoyed it? I don't know. But it would have gone down easier. Let's say that.
I think we knew that there was going to be problems as soon as we saw the cover.
Yeah, that's true. That cover's a mess.
That covers
There's so much. There's so much going on here. Oh boy.
There's Gabriel from the FMV game.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Shaggy Eddie Vedder hair and
Shaggy Eddie. Yeah. Yeah. He's right now. He's typing up the lyrics to Better Man.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Believe you me.
He's gonna. You better watch out. Gabriel's gonna hunger dunger dang all over you, bitches. It's a mess.
Yeah. Sometimes we're just waiting and watching the clock. It's 4 o'clock. It's time to stop.
Oh man, I'm gonna listen to some Pearl Jam tonight.
Yeah, go for it.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. I'm glad it's
anyway,
over.
so this book's over. I don't have to
over.
think about it ever again.
No, you don't.
I just did a David Letterman toss of the book.
Yeah. You are the David Letterman of our crew. I mean, without the terrifying hobo beard. But you could totally grow that beard. That's the thing. I know it's in you. I know it's in you.
I try to keep it tight because otherwise I get it a little too itchy.
Yeah,
but,
You could if you wanted to, and you probably will one day.
Phil, I have an important question to ask you.
Okay.
What are you playing?
Oh, well, appropriately enough, based on that very question, I did just finish the remake of Resident Evil 4.
Nice.
Loved it. Chef's kiss. We talked about it a little bit with Jesse Garasha when we had him on recently, and he was absolutely right. He made this point where it's like, it's not, because I said, I beat this game for the first time last year, and now the remake's coming out. Is it going to be worth it? And he pointed out, he said, well, it is the same game, but it's not. It's doing its own thing. It's not really a remake. It's a reimagining. There's so much to it. And I think because I'm more into the newer Resident Evil games, despite the fact that I started it too. But my favorites have been Village
7 and 8.
7. Yeah, exactly. I loved every change they made for it. I liked the camp they kept. I liked the dark, forbidding shit that they added.
Yeah, it is a dark game, like lighting wise. It is dark.
Oh yeah. You are fucking blind in that game, and it was super fun. I loved the changes. I loved the stuff with the president's daughter. She was less of a pain in the ass.
Ashley is amazing. She is just like when you're at the shooting range and she gets so excited when you do well. I was like, that's sweet,
It's cute. It's cute. There's a cute thing there with them without it turning into like a weird, gross love thing.
Sure.
Yeah, they could have gone that angle and they chose not to, and I respect that.
Because she's supposed to be 20 and he's 27 or something like that. Oh, is she
even that old? I didn't even.
Yeah. She's in college.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So at least there's that. But
right.
No, but they had really good rapport, a
Sure.
really good back and forth.
Yeah.
And you wanted to protect her, and the protecting of her wasn't nearly as just tedious as the
Right.
original was. So I
Yeah.
loved it. I had a great time with it. I love that the knife was finally a viable weapon.
Yes.
I used the shit out of that knife, and not just for sneak attacks either. Like, I loved that thing.
Did you use the parries and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I'm not
Yeah.
good at parries. That's
Right.
the thing. I'm not good at that shit. I don't remember to think about that, and it was just so fluid. It was great. Having finished that, I got into Dredge.
Okay, I've heard a lot of people talk about Dredge. I still have know nothing about it, just that people have been talking about it.
Here's the thing. I have never understood. I've got some friends who they have their game. You know, we all
Sure.
know those people. The person's like,
Yeah.
I'm a Warcraft player, that's all they play. I'm a Destiny player, that's all they play. I've never understood it. There's just so much out there. And I've played 3 hours of Dredge. I don't know if I need another game. I am a fisherman, Kevin. I am a fisherman. And I go from port to port, catching fish and dredging up treasure from the deep, and occasionally finding horrifying cosmic abominations.
Yeah, that sounds
and
good.
It's the perfect combination of H.P. Lovecraft and Quint from Jaws that I've been waiting for my entire life. I love this game so much. I'm having a fucking blast. It is so much fun. It's so simple. It's very, very simple. The fishing games are the same fishing games you've played since goddamn, Legend of Zelda and all that shit.
Sure.
It's very simple, but it's the sum of its parts that make this so special. There's certain fish that you can only catch after dark, but if you stay out after dark, you're being watched and you feel paranoia and you start seeing things in the distance and you don't know if they're real or not. And there's a fog bank and you could literally end up running aground because despite the fact that I've circled this island 100,000 goddamn times, the fog comes up and I don't know where I am anymore. And it's genuinely disorienting. And the exploration is super fun. The Lovecraftian cosmic horror creepiness of I'm gonna go catch some flounder. People like the flounder. It sells well over here. I'm gonna go catch some flounder. So I find the school of flounder and I start, bzz, 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 bringing in flounder. And all of a sudden I bring one up and it's like, oh, that's not. It's a flounder with a giant fucking eyeball on it. It's like an aberration flounder and
An abomination.
Yeah, and you read the description. I was like, if you look closely, you'll see that the pupil in the eye is not a pupil at all, but an egg. And they leave it at that. And you go and take it to the fishmonger who buys your fish from you, and he gets obsessed with it and bars the door to the shop. So I don't know when he's going to come out. I'm just storing fish for now because I got no one to sell to and doing other shit. It's a weird goddamn game. It is $25 and is worth every penny. My favorite games have been $30 or less this year.
Yeah.
It's
with the
great.
exception of Resident Evil.
Yes, which is more than that. I don't know who's going to be paying $1 for the sunglasses. All that DLC shit. I just like.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame. It
is a shame.
I loved it, but it just kind of mars the whole thing for me. I don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
What
know
about
that
you,
thing
Kevin?
about. Hold on, I got something to say about Dredge.
Do it.
You know that thing about a Cthulhu? He's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When it comes at you, doesn't seem to be living till it bites you, and those black eyes roll over white.
God, I love that fucking movie. I told Emily, for those of you who've been listening to us for a while, you may remember the story of me showing my wife Jaws for the first time and how she could not understand a word Quint said. And she told me recently that this summer, because it's a summer movie, we will watch Jaws again as long as I promise to put on closed captioning. so she can follow it a little better. So I will give you guys the heads up and give you the update on how it goes after that.
That's amazing. What I've been playing is I'm still playing Resident Evil 4. I'm almost finished with my second playthrough. I have the hand cannon unlocked.
Oh, nice.
And I fully upgraded it for the unlimited ammo with the hand cannon.
Jesus Christ.
So now I have an unlimited ammo Magnum. The only downside of it is it's like really imprecise. It's like, because like all the games have like different targeting like reticles, and the way it works is that like your bullet can end up anywhere within that like area.
Right.
And the more focused it is, the more likely it's going to be dead on. So like some of the handguns are really good. They're really precise. The hand cannon is, I think, the most powerful Magnum in the game, and it the reticle is like this in terms of aiming, and then like when you do the focus thing, it goes like and then it's like as soon as you accidentally twitch the mouse, it's like
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So it's really hard to aim, but it's basically like the Joker's gun and Batman 89.
Yeah, you shoot down a jet with the damn thing.
Yes, exactly. I'm still playing that, and I also started playing Have a Nice Death, which came out of early access. It's a fun little game. It's so cute. It's so somebody said it's like if you took Hades and Hollow Knight and put them together, you would have a Nice Death. Which,
that's two of your favorite games, so
yeah. Yes and no. I mean, I think in terms of aesthetic, it's definitely very Hollow Knight. And it has the roguelike, permadeath. Every run is going to be a new run type of thing. So all that being said, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I put I bought it in early access last year, and I played it for a little bit, but didn't really get too far into it. And now that it's out of early access, I like cleared the save file and I'm starting fresh and getting into
smart.
it.
That's a good way of doing it, I think. Just get the full experience.
Because
fresh.
It's sort of like, and I'm hoping Gloomwood comes out full release this year. I bought Gloomwood last year when they first put it into early access, and I played it all the way through in terms of everything that was available, which was like only a real small portion of the game.
I'm talking about this one,
and Gloomwood is, I mean, it's awesome.
It's David Szymanski, yeah.
I think he's involved in it. It's what's his name? He goes by Taffer King. He's one of the other common New Blood folks as well.
Okay.
And obviously it's a New Blood published game, so Dave Oshry is involved and all that stuff. Dylan Rogers, there we go. Dylan Rogers and David Szymanski. I'm not sure his how to pronounce his last name totally, but yes. I think David does the programming and Dylan is the game designer. But it's neat, it's a really great game. Talking about a lot. I haven't played it recently, but that what I was circling back around to is like I bought it early in early access, played what was available, and then like tucked it away and be like, okay, I'm gonna come back to this when it's full release. I got a little taste of it now. I'm not going to keep playing it while it's through early access. I think I want like the finished product next time I play it.
That's I get it. I absolutely get it. It's hard for me to buy early access games. That's why Against the Storm was such a big deal to me. Like I loved it so much, and even now as it's updating and changing, I'm still enjoying it, and which is lucky. I think that's honestly just lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a real hit or miss experience in early access. I have faith in like, it's like certain things you can kind of like look at and be like, all right, I think this is probably gonna, keep developing. It's not like, and not to throw shade at World of Horror, but World of Horror is it's one person that's working on World of Horror.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
they
a different
are
thing ever.
and World of Horror as it stands right now is an amazing game to play. If you're interested in Lovecraft, Junji Ito style, like mystery solving, and it like creates a new mystery every time. But World of Horror also is still in early access, and it's probably going to be a game that's in early access for a really long time because it's one person, and it's like, it's at version 8. It's like 0.8.7 or something like that. And maybe once a year they do a big update for like new stuff that's added to the game, but it's still not the full game yet. And that's what you're gonna get sometimes with indie devs. So sometimes you're
getting new levels basically.
Yeah. So sometimes you just have to balance whether, okay, is it worth giving your money to an indie dev? And a lot of times, you want to say, you hope the answer is yes, but sometimes, I've been burned on games where I bought early access and then the game was abandoned.
Yeah.
Not long after.
I think if you're a game nerd in the sense of like development and narrative like we are, then there is some advantage to getting it in early access because watching the growth of it can be a fascinating process. It's
sure.
just, but you are taking a risk there. There's no getting around that.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, that's what I've been playing, and that'll do it for tonight's episode. We didn't even get to your table topics, Phil. I mean, we managed to do a full hour on.
I'm proud of us. I think we did
proud
good.
of us too.
I think this is what 2 years and almost 100 episodes of professionalism gets you. We are goddamn professionals.
The ability to talk for an hour, no matter what.
That's I think both of our wives would agree that that's a skill that we both have. Maybe?
We can talk.
Yeah, that might be something we're good at.
Oh boy. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PixelitPod. Go to our website, pixelitpod.com. You can join our Discord. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can download the transcripts of episodes. The automated transcripts have been getting better, I've noticed.
They are. The AI is getting is learning.
It's learning. It's a little bit sharper now. Yeah. So, if you're interested in that kind of thing, download the transcripts and have at them. Coming up next, we are what's our next episode, Phil?
Well, it is Resident Evil City of the Dead by S.D. Perry, the third in the Resident Evil series, and we're doing that for a very specific reason.
Why would we be doing that? What's that reason?
It's because next episode is our 100th episode.
100 episodes.
I don't know how Kevin and I decided to make a podcast about video game novelizations, and we've been here for 100 episodes.
100 episodes. Now, some of you might say, like, well, yeah, I think you've done more than 100 episodes at this point. Well, true. We've recorded more than that in terms of bonus episodes.
Sure.
We're counting only the mainline baby boy episodes here. The ones that are numbered in your feed. That's what we're doing, and we are hitting 100 next week with SD Perry's. Was it City of the Dead?
City of the Dead.
City of the Dead. SD Perry's City. SD Perry's Resident Evil 2.
That is what it is. Yeah, it's based on Resident Evil 2. which is the first Resident Evil I ever played, so it's very close to my heart. So I'm really
I love Resident Evil 2 to this day, and the original had. I love the remake. The remake is one of my favorite games of all time. The original had some interesting ideas too that have never really been. They haven't really done since then. With the whole zapping mechanic, where it's like if you do one thing in one storyline, you'll see it play out in the other storyline.
Oh, I forgot all about that. Jesus.
Yeah, that was. They called it the zapping mechanic. Why? I don't know, but
It's funny.
it is.
Well, like so many things when it comes to Resident Evil, I have to assume it's part of a localization / translation issue.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that. Anyway, have a good night.
Bye.